But yeah, it's just there for our students to have a frame of reference. So we'll just ping you with a note to say that you're okay with being recorded, and I'll get started. Can everyone clearly see my screen? This is good.
Yes.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be with you all today. Welcome to our virtual open house between the Minority Health and Health Equity Research Center at Dillard and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. We're so delighted and excited to have you all join us and to have so many speakers from the CDC come to speak with our students. Yeah, just a quick opening welcome from me. My name is Faraz Khan. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a researcher and instructor of disaster resilience here at Dillard. I'm relatively new to the city of New Orleans by New Orleans standards. I came here about 3 years ago. I'm on a Fulbright from Singapore to study disasters. I had previously worked on disasters in Southeast Asia. And this is a picture of me doing the thing that I love the most, which is being a cook in disaster and mutual aid spaces. This is our little mutual aid group up in Mid-City during the power outage. And that's exactly the kind of connection that we're trying to build here at MHHERC, to have folks, not just connect with the CDC or connect with all of you that have had these incredible health careers and have these incredible experiences, but to collaborate and recognize that we're all in community together. The more that we can have points of interface and have points of really getting to see the person behind the email, the more we can try to build projects and build new initiatives that will improve our communities. So it's very exciting to be here with all of you. That's a welcome from me. The outline and the structure of this event is I'm going to speak very quickly. We're going to have our student welcome next, and then we'll turn it over to the CDC that are going to take us through an incredible selection of speakers and programs that they've decided to highlight for our students at Dillard. So I'm going to turn it over to our student, Justin Harris, who's coming from public health and is a junior. Justin, please take it away.
Good morning. On behalf of the student body of Dillard University, I would like to welcome you to the CDC virtual open house event. My name is Justin Harris, and I'm a public health junior from Nashville, Tennessee. Currently, I serve as the POMARC of the Beta Gamma chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, as well as being a member of the Thompson Cook Honors Program. I have been blessed with incredible advisors and countless opportunities aligned with my desired career field throughout my time at Dillard. I have learned through Dillard University the value of experience and preparation for life after school. Through networking, such as this virtual open house event, and increased access to internships, we can continue our journey in upholding the legacy of Dillard University. We would like to thank the CDC and Dr. Michael Woods personally for giving us this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. It's great to have students here as well with us that are joining us on Zoom. I'm seeing more of you as well. Thank you. Welcome. All right, so that concludes our welcoming. Just some quick ground rules, just some Zoom usual things that we have to do now that we're in this era. Generally, please do try to mute your microphones unless you are the speaker, because it does change who the speaker is on the speaker view when you are sharing your screen. Please do try to turn your cameras on, even if your mics are off. It's lovely to see everyone's faces. It makes speakers feel good. I'm looking at your faces now while I'm sharing my screen and I'm feeling the energy. It's great. Yeah, and if you have any questions or comments, please send them in the chat. I know Dr. Smith as well is encouraging everyone. So students, especially if you're here, introduce yourselves, say hi in the chat, send out your name and your email and maybe a couple of your interests and things that you're passionate about. There will be a full kind of Q&A and mingling time at the end, and then please, if you are speaking, do try to keep your phones on mute so we don't get any pings. Perfect. With that out of the way, I'm going to transition over to the CDC slides. 1 second while I do my quick Zoom technological situation. All right, everybody still with me? Everybody can still see my screen? We're still good to go. I'm trying to get this to be in full screen mode. Perfect. I think, yes. Everybody see this? Perfect. Awesome. Please, Ms. Robinson, take it away.
It seems like a strip is on the right side, but I mean, I can still see.
I can. Is this helping? Is this moving it away?
No.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, so it obstructs part of the slide, but I think
That is very weird. Okay, hold on. I'm just
Okay.
gonna restart the share really quickly, just one second.
Okay.
You know, it is the COVID era. We're all used to this at this point, but I apologize. But yeah, let me try and figure out exactly what is going on. Okay, I think this should make it work much better. So if I do this, like
Okay, wonderful. Well,
okay, perfect.
well, anyway, my name is Sharon Robinson, and I know he said to come on camera, but I'm going to go off camera just for a minute for my brief presentation, because every time I start speaking, for some reason, my computer starts, having issues. So I'm going to go off camera, but I will be speaking about my slides. Thanks. Good morning. Once again, my name is Sharon Robinson. I'm pleased to be here with you today for the Dillard University Virtual Career Fair to give you an opportunity to learn more about the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So hopefully the info that my colleagues and I present today will help you determine if working within the public health field at CDC is for you. And today we will touch on many of our journeys to CDC and tell you about some of the internships, fellowships, and hiring mechanisms available to begin your CDC journey. Now, CDC is a part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It began in 1946 as the Communicable Disease Center to prevent malaria from spreading. CDC plays a vital role in national health promotion, disease prevention, and preparedness. Next slide, please. Now, CDC works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to protect America from health, safety, and security threats, both foreign and in the US and in the USA. It doesn't matter where the disease came from, if it's chronic, acute, preventable, curable, human error, or deliberate. CDC fights disease and works to support the community and citizens, and wants you to do your part as well. So that is the broad overview of CDC. So I'll pause for a moment and tell you a little about myself. Again, my name is Sharon Robinson. I have a Bachelor of Business Administration in Management from Georgia State. Now, my career goals didn't initially include CDC. I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank. I worked in software and education. But I had a friend who worked at CDC, and I was intrigued by the type of work that she did. So this conversation led me to applying for and getting a contract position with the CDC. I worked as a contractor for 2 years in various administrative capacities in support of public health. So in 2010, President Obama created the National Prevention Strategy. Well, he wanted to create the National Prevention Strategy. And my friend, who was also a supervisor, was tasked with standing up this organization within CDC. So the leaders of this organization were given direct hire appointing authority to fill positions within the CDC. So this is used when there is a severe shortage of candidates or there is a critical hiring need. There is no competitive ranking or veterans preference, which is a normal part of our hiring process. So this process is more streamlined and is quicker. So once I was hired, I worked on the National Prevention Strategy for several years as a management and program analyst. And I worked with a lot of CDC partners and stakeholders. I then moved to the role of resource management specialist within the Division of Tuberculosis Elimination, where I worked mainly with contract management. And I followed that with 4 years as an administrative officer, where I supervised an administrative staff and oversaw most of the administrative functions. And And my last position was as a management and program analyst, which I am currently doing. So throughout that process, I also detailed in multiple jobs also. I did about 3 details. So what we consider details, we are able to temporarily go into a position for between 30 days and 4 months and see if you like that position, learn something new, that type thing. So I did that most recently as the deputy management official in the Office of Readiness and Response, where I currently work. So next slide. Now, as I've mentioned, I have had multiple positions in public health in various areas. Now, most of those have been administrative. But as you can see, I mentioned the Centers for Disease Control has various opportunities. You can go, you can look at, you can look at positions in respiratory diseases, readiness and response, Office of Science. There are so many areas that you can go into. You can go into policy, you can stick with science, mathematics, administrative, operations. So these are various centers that we have of disease control within CDC. So there are multiple ones available for you, and I'm sure there is something that would interest you. So that concludes my presentation. So I will turn it over to Dr. Jones to tell you a little bit more about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging. Dr. Jones.
So hello, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Dr. Anitra Jones-Sprouse. And I'm a proud graduate of an HBCU in the state of Louisiana, as well as a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. So I'm elated to have the opportunity to chat with you all today and discuss aspects of my current position, as well as some fellowships that I took advantage of along my journey into public health. I will be stop showing video in hopes of circumventing any potential technical issues as well, and I will turn it on after I completed speaking. So at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, our public health mission and workplace diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and belonging commitment are intrinsically linked. And in keeping with the agency's DEIAB efforts, the Office of Readiness and Response, which is America's central coordinating body for CDC's preparedness and response efforts to public health events. These events include outbreaks, natural disasters, or even intentional acts with biological, chemical, radiological, or nuclear agents, has prioritized a demonstrated focus on increasing diversity through the recruitment of diverse talent at historically Black universities and colleges like Dillard University and other minority serving institutions. In support of this effort, ORR has participated in events such as the American Indian, Alaskan Native, and Native Hawaiian Career Expo of 2022, Human Resources Officer Career Roadshow, and the most recent was the HBCU Legacy Bowl Career Fair in New Orleans, Louisiana, which was held February the 23rd through the 24th of this year. At that particular event, there were 104 companies and government agencies that participated, and over 930 registrants from over 19 HBCUs were represented. ORR looks forward to engaging students throughout this year and in years to follow in forums like today's open house and in the following events that are planned for 2023. The National HBCU Week Conference, which is hosted by the United States White House, the annual Biomedical Research Conference for Minority Students, which is hosted by the American Society for Microbiology, as well as ASM's Graduate Symposium. Next slide, please. So currently, as I mentioned before, I am a health scientist within CDC's Division of Select Agents and Toxins, which is referred to as DSAT. And DSAT works to ensure that scientific research in laboratories is conducted as safely and securely as possible. To accomplish this, DSAT oversees two very important programs, the Federal Select Agent Program and the Import Permit Program. The Federal Select Agent Program, or FSAP, as we refer to it as, regulates the possession, use, and transfer of biological select agents and toxins that have the potential to pose a severe or significant threat to public, animal, or plant health, or to animal or plant products, and it's jointly managed by the CDC's Division of Select Agents and Toxins and the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services Division of Agricultural Select Agents and Toxins, which is with the USDA. The second program that I mentioned previously within our division is the Import Permit Program. IPP regulates the importation of infectious biological materials that can cause disease in humans in order to prevent their introduction and spread in the United States. The program ensures that the importation of these agents is monitored and that facilities receiving these permits have appropriate biosafety measures in place to work with the imported material. More than 2,000 import permits are issued by the program annually. So in addition to talking about my current position at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, I've been asked to talk about fellowships or summer programs that were integral to my public health career path. So prior to earning my doctorate in microbial pathogenesis, immunology, and inflammation, I actively sought out research opportunities as an undergraduate with the goal of developing a skill set that encompassed communication, problem solving, project management, scientific theory and practice integration, as well as data analysis. While my co-presenters will focus on CDC-specific fellowship opportunities, I thought I would share two fellowships that I personally participated in that were sponsored by external partners. The first that you see on the screen is the McNair Scholars Program. So in 1986, in honor of the memory of the Challenger astronaut and noted laser physicist, Dr. Ronald E. McNair, the United States Congress established the McNair Scholars Program with the goal of increasing the attainment of PhD degrees by students from underrepresented segments of society. All McNair scholars participate in scholarly research, seminars, and career counseling opportunities. Additional benefits associated with this program include mentoring opportunities, professional development allotments, as well as financial assistance for enrolling in graduate programs. During the time that I served as a McNair Scholar, they accepted rising junior and senior undergraduate applicants. And when I was participating, I had the opportunity to perform research at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, looking at characterizing Mycobacterium tuberculosis D-phosphocoenzyme A kinase in preparation for crystallization, as well as Le Bonheur Medical Center, which is a regional medical facility for adolescents. And my research there focused on the production of inflammatory mediators in normal rat cholangiocytes. And so that's really what started my interest in infectious disease specifically. And I went on to do a number of years in the early part of my career as a researcher in developing animal models for various emerging and reemerging infectious diseases. The last opportunity I'll mention prior to handing the mic over will be the Association of Public Health Laboratories, or APHL, Career Pathways in Public Health Laboratory Science Fellowship. So this is a 1 to 2 year laboratory fellowship that provides training to post-bachelor's, post-master's, and postdoctoral scientists in preparation for careers in public health laboratories. Many of those fellows are placed at the CDC, And others are also placed throughout the nation at various public health departments around the country. So areas of interest include bioinformatics, biorisk management, so biocontainment and biosafety would be areas of importance for that particular fellowship. Environmental health, food safety, infectious diseases, which was my area of interest, newborn screening, as well as quality management. For your awareness, applications are accepted year-round, and there are flexible start and end dates to those fellowships. These are paid fellowship opportunities with salary determinations being based on factors such as education level, experience, as well as locality pay. During my time as an emerging infectious disease postdoctoral fellow, I matched with the immunology and pathogenesis branch within the National Center of Immunization and Respiratory Diseases at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So that was my first stint at the CDC. This is actually my second time being at the agency. During that fellowship, I performed work with highly pathogenic strains of influenza in animal models, as I mentioned, of infection, that really mirror public health challenges that we observed in human populations around the world. Some of those challenges included protein malnutrition models, as well as heterosubtypic influenza infection models. The research performed during those 2 years undoubtedly aided in securing the next step in my career, which happened to be at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. But of course, that's a different story for a different day. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. And at this time, I will turn the floor over to the next presenter. Thank you.
Well, hello, Dilly family. My name is Michael Woods, and I'm well, this is actually going on to my second year at CDC as a public health advisor. I'm actually within the PHAB program as a CDC PHAB associate, which I'll explain later what exactly is PHAB. And I actually graduated from Dillon University in 2004, and which I actually came in 2000. Who was the president at the time was Dr. Michael Lomax. And I remember my first day, which I made sure during orientation week, I made sure he recognized my face. I was like, Dr. Lomax, you're gonna know who I am from day one. Yes, just remember my face. And from that day, my major was chemistry pre-med. And from that time, I had after my sophomore year and my sophomore summers and junior summers, had two internships at University of Rochester's School of Medicine to actually put me ahead of the other students to make sure that I stood out. So after that, of course, after that, I pledged in the fall of 2002 under Kappa Alpha Psi Beta Gamma chapter. And I'm thankful for who introduced me under the Beta Gamma chapter. And I was the Polmark and Guy Wright. And I was asked under Dillon University and Dr. Lomax to represent the university going to Latin American School of Medicine. In Spanish, it's Escuela Latinoamericana de Medicina, under a full scholarship to go to that medical school. And I graduated in 2004 going to that medical school, and of which under 2 years of residency, I graduated in 2011. And my residency was in internal medicine. And after I graduated in 2011, at my medical school, there was actually 123 countries at that medical school. So I had a great experience at that medical school in which it was great. It had great exposure, and you had so many experiences and exposure of great ethnicities and cultures. The medical school was in Havana, Cuba, and I made sure that I didn't take that for granted, and in which I had exposure, in which I had my own clinics. He had hands-on experiences with the people. And then after graduating in 2011, I joined the Henry Reeves Brigade. And after with the Henry Reeves Brigade was attached to the medical school. And with the Henry Reeves Brigade, they basically handle all outbreaks and natural disasters globally. And within that brigade, I gained different skill sets in which basically they handle all the different outbreaks and natural disasters. They were all over in terms of Central, South America, Caribbean, Africa. I handle all different things in terms of earthquakes, tornadoes, HIV, Ebola, in terms of those different countries. So after getting that experience, I did that for about 10 years. After getting that experience, my heart started gaining that, and with that skill set, I gained a great desire to not just want that medical experience, but a public health experience, to not just want to take care of people one by one, but to gain a desire, wanting to basically to take care of people at a greater population and a greater number. So I was seeing how I could do that. And within the brigade, they basically taught me within the different subject matters in terms of epidemiology. I gained that knowledge in terms of health scientists. In terms of that, I gained that knowledge. And so once I came back home, since I already had that knowledge, I gained my master's of public health at Liberty University School of Public Health. And with that desire, I basically want to see how I can get my feet in the door. And through that, I saw that I could do that through PHAP at CDC. And so once I did that, next slide, I saw that opportunity. You see that PHAP was an opportunity, Public Health Associates Program. And that's through the Center for State, Tribal, Local. And then with that, know that PHAP trains the next generation of public health workforce. And there's a big need for thousands of public health workers. And it gives you basically an on-hand experience, and that basically with that on-hand early career experience for various public health agencies all over the nation. And for the different PHAPs within our PHAP program, they're all over the nation, even in Guam, and different places around the nation. Next slide. So PHAP's mission is to provide training and experiential learning to early career public health professionals who contribute to the public health workforce. Next slide. Associates basically gain hands-on public health experience at host sites, as I mentioned before. Associates are federal employees. They're actually, what they told us to say is that FTEs. The assignments are basically 2 years. I'm in my second year of the program, and I get my full benefits. Associates get full benefits. and CDC, and CDC gives field-based training. Like right now, I'm at my whole site, and I'm at the Georgia Department of Public Health. Even for you all at in Louisiana and New Orleans, they're at you all's Department of Public Health. We have some at you all's Department of Public Health. And I believe here on in the Zoom call, my for the supervisory support, my supervisor is actually on this Zoom call, Cynthia, I think. And we have mentorship. I have a mentor, a CDC mentor, that constantly I can look towards to get any type of advice. And know that PHAP is not a internship, not a fellowship. Next slide. Associates gain knowledge, skills, and abilities in the various following areas, which are basically what are important domains of public health. And just like what you see here, I can read it verbatim, but you all see them here from 1 through 11. Next slide. Associates support emergencies. Associates often are called upon to respond to public health emergencies, which are like the COVID-19 task force, and which I experienced myself, which is the monkeypox task force. That was a great experience for me, in which I was the monkeypox task force, in which I gained great knowledge and experience. It's something I'll never forget. I tell you, monkeypox task force, when I experienced that, which I enjoyed and I led in the various meetings and experiences, believe me, the things that I saw, I will never forget. Next slide. The whole sites gain capable, motivated associates who support various programs, including communicable disease, chronic disease, environmental health, immunization, injury prevention, maternal and child health. There's so much more, but in the whole sites include state, tribal, local, and territorial health agencies, as well as NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations. So there's so much more, as I mentioned. Next slide for the next person.
Good morning, I'm Sandy Williams, and thank you so much. That's a great segue into the student programs that I will be discussing, one of which is PHAP. So my name is Sandy Williams. I'm the team chief for the student programs here at CDC in the HR office. This is my second career. I spent 20 years in the Air Force, primarily in the European theater. From there, I went to the public sector, and then I came to CDC, and I actually started where Ms. Robinson is, and at that time, it was the Coordinating Center for Terrorism and Preparedness. Following my tenure with COTPER at the time, I then went to be the chief of the diversity office. From there, I then went to the HR office, where I actually worked in the policy department. I also worked in the senior executive department. So even in HR, there are opportunities for you to work in different segments of any office that you happen to find yourself in. I have a bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in management and psychology. And with that, I am going to begin. Next slide, please. So under the umbrella of the programs that are under the Special Hiring Authority, and this is applicable because we under the student programs, we have persons with disabilities. So we have a special program that allows individuals who have a disability, there is a special hiring authority for those individuals to allow them to be hired into the federal government. Next slide, please. We also do a lot of veterans programs because veterans programs are the law. Oftentimes from hiring managers throughout CDC, excuse me, the pollen is getting to me. There are some concerns about hiring veterans, but if a veteran qualifies for a program, we have to make sure that we provide that certificate showing that that individual is eligible. There are a number of different veterans programs, and we rely on the Veterans Administration to make the determination as to what percentage of a disability that individual have. And within the law of hiring veterans, there are specific criteria for, let's say, a 30% or more disabled veteran. Veterans recruitment. So for the disabled veterans, they can be hired at any grade for which they do qualify. And although we hire the veterans, although there is the criteria for the different criteria for the veterans, they still must be qualified for that position. We have the veterans recruitment appointment, which is another category for the veterans. And again, there's specific criteria for those individuals. The Veterans Employment Opportunity Act, VEOA, which allows a veteran to apply after a vacancy announcement is closed. And then more recently, the past couple of years, there is a special hiring authority for military spousal preference. Next slide, please. One of our major programs under the umbrella for our special hirings program is the Presidential Management Fellowship Program. This program is for individuals with master's or advanced degrees. We work in concert with the Office of Personnel Management. The Office of Personnel Management actually goes through the criteria to ensure that individuals are qualified for the program as a whole. Then we here at CDC, we receive that list of eligibles, as we call them, but these individuals still have to qualify for the various series. When we talk about series, we are looking at public health associates, which are 685s, or management and program analysts, which are GS 343s. So we have to make sure that they then qualify for the various series and the grade levels for the positions at CDC. The next program that falls under my leadership is the Public Health Associates Program in partnership with CSTOS, which Mr. Woods did an excellent job of outlining the details of that program. But my office and my team, we actually post the vacancy announcement where that's the opportunity for applicants to actually apply to get into the PHAP program. It's an entry-level public health associates program. We have to make sure that individuals actually qualify for the program. We have to ensure that they either have their degree or they will be conferred prior to the start of the program. So we post that vacancy announcement in the January timeframe, and it's an entire process to work with our CSTOS partner or internal program, where not only do we ensure that individuals have the correct, they meet the criteria under the Pathways program of obtaining their degree, we also work to place those individuals in all 50 states and US territories, the local health departments. So it's a great entry-level program and a pipeline program of public health associates for CDC. One of the other programs we have is the Pathway Student Summer Hire Program. This is an internship program where we actually get applicants and we work with all of the programs across CDC to provide an entry-level position and an introduction to CDC with these internship programs. And it's a diverse group of individuals from a wide variety of educational institutions. And these individuals work just for the summer. One of the other things that we're about to implement just in the next month will be the Pathways Career Intern Program, which is similar to the summer program. The difference will be that these individuals will be able to work summer. They will be able to work for fall breaks and winter breaks, and they can continue to work with the CDC program office until they complete their education. They can be part-time or full-time. These students will work with the CDC supervisor to determine the hours that they're going to be worked. All of these programs are paid programs based on the grade level. And as you know, here at CDC, we have grades 2 through 15. We have the senior executive levels. So based on their education and experience, that determines how we hire these individuals into CDC programs. So that's a program that we're really excited about to be able to roll out next month. Next slide, please. We also have 2 additional programs, the post-secondary student authority and college graduates. For the post-secondary, students must be pursuing a BS or graduate degree, at least a part-time schedule. And for the college graduates, the individual must have graduated within the past 2 years, similar to the PHAP program. And these are all pipeline programs that are available here at CDC as program offices look to grow and groom the next generation of CDC employees. Next slide. And that concludes my overview of the student pathways and other programs that we manage here in the HR office. Thank you for your time, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Sandy. My name is Trevor Edwards, and I work at CDC, obviously, at Human Resources. I'm currently the Immigration's Responsible Officer. A little bit as far as my history, I've had now about 30 years of HR and management experience. Attended the University of Tulsa, actually on a football scholarship, and ended up in Georgia because I had family here. So what I'm going to cover today, though, is as far as my career, though, at CDC, I think all of us, all your speakers, you're probably here, we've all had different roles at the agency. I think that's a good thing because you're not going to be stuck in one category. It's really going to be up to you to pivot and pursue other opportunities. It varies, and I think that's a good thing as far as your career at CDC. And so you're not going to be limited. It's going to be obviously based on your performance, and building relationships is going to be a very important key as far as your career for the long term here at the agency. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to be covering the ORISE program and also along with the Immigration's Responsible Officer position. This particular program, I've been the program manager for almost 20 years. I've been here actually 20 years. So it's been about 17 years since I've been managing this particular program. So next slide. All right, so the ORISE program, it's a STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, you have to either be working towards a STEM degree at an accredited university or have a STEM degree. All right, It is one of the good things though about this program. There's no, it's open year round. All right. So you could apply and be selected for a position to start any time of the year, year round. There's no close off dates, etc. Next slide. All right, so these are some of the criterias, and these are some of the individuals, obviously. We also have the ability to hire non-US citizens. For those that may be a non-US citizen, you can also apply as long as you have the legal authority to work within the US, and you go through the immigrations department for that. One of the main thing though, your degree has to be within, for those that have already obtained the degree, it has to be awarded within 5 years. That's the cutoff, because really the program is intended for recent grads as a succession plan for future employment with the agency. Next slide. All right, and these again are some of the eligibility requirements, and specifically also for non-US citizens, we offer J1 visas support, and these are some of the other statuses we common for non-US citizens are F1s and with EADs. Next slide. All right, as far as compensation, I always like to share this for you to get an idea of, what the pay grades are available. The good thing about this is this: no experience is required. It's a training program. It's not an employment program. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you will start out right now in 2023 at $41.09. That's if you're full-time. Obviously, if it's not, we will prorate it. And then, GS9, GS11, up to a GS12. To get a GS12, you have to have at least 2 years of postdoctoral actual work experience. But the majority of ORISE fellows, which we have currently right now, close to 1,000 participants, are at the GS9 7 level. All right, next slide. All right, so really with this slide here is you will be assigned a mentor. You're not just you will be given a specific project. Again, you're a trainee. You don't have the experience. So you're gonna work alongside a mentor, and you may have several that really train you through the process. You have 5 years that you're permitted within the program, but in increments of a year based on your performance, and also based on if the program has the budget to continue to extend you up to 5 years. And that gives you a lot of time to obviously gain the experience and also build those relationships so you could be seen if you're going to pursue a long-term career with the agency. All right, next slide. And that was my part. All right, thank you for your time.
Hey, good morning, y'all. I hope everyone can hear me. Am I good now?
Yes.
I appreciate that. My name's Ken Myers. I'm a 1991 graduate of Dillard University. I majored in public health administration while I was there. Presently at CDC, I work in a group in a branch. It's called the Disease Intervention Response Branch, or what we call DIRB. Basically, I'm a public health advisor. I started as a public health associate in 1991, which is very similar to what the PHAPs are today. Within DIRB, I'm assigned to a group called DISAT, which is Disease Intervention Support and Technical Assistance Group. Now, what we do in that unit is we provide technical assistance to different health departments, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I love my time at Dillard University. I love being in the gleaming white and spacious green. For all of us at Dillard, we understand that, and we love it. I was not a traditional student. I was the guy who was, like Mr. Edwards, I went away to play football, thought I'd be a star. That didn't work out, came back, partied, worked at the Windsor Court, served tables, making $40,000. I thought I had it going, right? But in 1997, guess what happened? My friends started graduating on me, from Xavier and Dillard. And I was that old man at Dillard after 4 years ago. And I was just getting to Dillard. I said, oh, I'm going to start all over again. But I'll tell you what Dillard gave me. Dillard was different than other schools that I had gone to, like Tennessee and other places. Dillard was smaller. Dillard was a place where you couldn't hide because the instructors knew your name. And they would say, Mr. Myers, well, I see you in class today. I was like, how you know me? You know what I'm saying? And like Mr. Woods, even the dean knew my name when I passed through the hall, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, when the dean knows you, you know you better show up. So I will tell you that, but Dillon had one other thing. They had expectations of me, you know, and I didn't have that at other schools. They expected that I learned, and they expected that I was going to succeed. Now, I was a student in public health, and my dean, Beryl Seagray, who was the dean at that time, would always sit back and we would have debates and philosophy, and we would talk. And the thing was, she was always teaching you to think at Dillon, because you have to compete once you leave Dillon University. So that was the big thing. She always told me this: read everything, learn everything, always be prepared for anything. Because son, if you do well, they may minimize it, but if you mess up, people will maximize it. And that is one of the things that I always remember from Dillon University. Now, I was originally a physical therapy major when I got there, but after a few brief stays in a physical therapy, a PT clinic, I couldn't take the pain. Yeah, I just had to go and say to my counselor, I can't do it. So they suggested, hey, why don't you try public health administration, which I did. Now, after interning in policy and planning at Charity Hospital and preparing to graduate from Dillon, in the fall of 1991, I accepted a position from CDC. Now, this position was in Chicago, so I was so excited. So, you know, I packed up my truck and I moved to Chicago, and CDC said, you know, I don't know if we made an error or you did, but you're supposed to be in Los Angeles, and you got a few days to get here. So loved it. You know, I'm like, yeah, it's my first challenge. So I had already put all my money on deposit, couldn't get it back. So I slept in my truck outside the clinic, you know, until I had enough to actually get an apartment up there. So CDC wanted a lot when I got there. They had to teach me how to be a CDC employee. There was a lot of training, a lot of studying, a lot of, again, expectations, okay? We were a cohort of 30 people. And that's a lot of the young DIS coming in at one time in one place, right? So again, we started off with 600 DIS when I first started. We're now down to 82, and we're looking for more qualified people. I will let you know. So we got 600, now 82 are doing that job. So, you know, I'm always busy, right? While in LA, we learned about STDs, how to interview, but we also learned how to work with the community. Can I get the next slide, please? Now, as I said, we did study, and this little picture here of this clinic was my first clinic, and that was Root Temple Health Clinic, okay? I was assigned there as a field DIS, or disease intervention specialist, right? Now, we'll let you know that when you become a DIS, you may have to move. And usually you do not work in Atlanta. They will assign you to New Orleans, to LA, to Chicago, wherever there's a need in the health department, you are going to be there, you're going to work, and you're going to represent CDC. So you need to learn the CDC way. Later, after leaving Root Temple, I was assigned to Hubert Humphrey. Both very rough areas, both heavily concentrated with Black and brown people. But both of them needed what? They needed to have that public health presence. We had to be a part of the community. And as you can see from the pictures there, you know, I was shocked. I said, yeah, I see those very positive Black images. And then I saw the nice murals. And then I saw gang signs across the street from the clinic. And I'm going, okay, where am I now? You know, I went to school, and this was the area that they sent me to. Okay, one of the first things that I did learn from a man who I thought was a very mean CDC employee at the time, but guess what? He ended up being one of the best mentors that I ever had and prepared me. He taught me a few things as a mentor. He said, number one, you can't save everybody. That was the first thing I learned, you know, with CDC. Number two, don't bring my personal bias to work. And number three, there's a story behind these persons' behavior. If you're going to work with the, people, you have to start accepting people in the community, and not as CDC workers, but who they are first, and use the knowledge that you have to provide good public health service. So working in the community, I grew, you know, with CDC. I learned every prostitute, every dope dealer, every community group, every service area. You know, I learned that every part of the community was the community, and they did need good public health. So as always, I've always traveled, and CDC, especially being a DIS, you will get a chance to travel. I've had, you know, numerous temporary duties and worked on so many outbreaks. I've traveled over 50% of my career, and I've worked in about 33 different cities, okay, including Puerto Rico and the USVI. So you will have many roles. You know, as Mr. Edwards said earlier, and a few other presenters, CDC will take you a lot of places. I've supported efforts in Command Center for West Nile, working in Atlanta, but dealing with people in other states. They happen to be up at 4 o'clock for their 8 o'clock meeting. Like I had to get up early for this meeting, but we're gonna talk about that later. I've had planning and logistics. Yeah, I've trained contact tracers for COVID-19, motivated people to come and be tested. Work with stockpiles. Set up facilities, investigated more syphilis and HIV than I can talk about. But my point about this is this: as a CDC worker coming from Dillard University, you will have the opportunity, to help people. That's number one. But you will be in charge of programs. You'll go places that you may have never thought you have gone. And the opportunities are vast, Next slide, please. And this is just, I should say next slide earlier, but you do get a chance to support and train and to have partnerships. And that's one thing that you're going to work on. CDC gives you a chance to learn the CDC way, but be yourself, to learn what you've learned, take what you've learned at Dillard and apply it there and to see if you can make it better. Because just like Dr. Woods, if you can see down at the bottom, I was called to work on anthrax. I didn't know what anthrax was at the time. But you know what? I learned, got out there and did it. And CDC will give you that leadership opportunity to get there and become that leader and get out. Next slide, please. If you look at the picture at the top here on the left, that's me in the mountains of West Virginia. And what I'm doing is looking for persons who have been exposed to HIV. All of these people were IV drug users, right? But we couldn't just find people in the city. We had to find out where disease is, and that's what disease intervention specialists do. So these were heroin users. We found 30 people, and on the next picture, you can see how they were living. They were living in shacks and shimmies and homemade tents that were back there. We tested 30 people, but out of those 30 people, over 15 of them were HIV positive. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that you can say is not positive for them. But again, I had to think back to that very mean guy. He said there's always a story behind the story. Not only were we able to test them and find out that they were positive, we were able to get them into treatment. We were able to get them housing. We were able to get them food, We had to find out what their needs were to help them. And that's what CDC does a lot of. We manned different megapods. It's this megapod here where you see the tents. We had the COVID vaccination. We were vaccinating over 15,000 people a day in the parking lot, partnering with the Inglewood facilities and vaccinating as many people as we could. Down at the bottom under the smaller tent, my partner Randy Jefferson and myself are in Indiana, and we're testing at-risk persons for HIV and syphilis. And again, the last picture here is me going under a house on an investigation that the disease intervention was finding. We found the lady living under the house, homeless with her children. And we were able to interview her and also test and treat her friend. What I'm saying is that a lot of things here will say, I'm a person who likes to get his hands dirty. I like to be in the field. But we have a lot of professional programs at CDC, but we have a lot of ways to get out in the community. In closing, I will say this. When at Dillard University with Alpha Phi Alpha, we always say the college days swiftly pass, imbued with memories fond. I will say that because of this. Dillard University gave me excellent preparation. They gave me excellent memory. But what I must add is this, that your career at CDC is going to give you excellent pathways and will open up lots of possibilities. I'm a simple boy from New Orleans, I've been places that I never thought I would be and done things that I never thought I would do. I'll be honest with you. I look back sometimes after 30 years and go, wow, I just wanted to serve tables at the Windsor Court. You know what I'm saying? And I was happy. So, again, I want to thank you for this time. If you're interested in working with DERB or becoming a DIS, hey, we're on, government jobs, usajobs.gov, I'm sorry. And you can look under public health advisor or 0865 series. I appreciate y'all and thank you for your time and good luck. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Back to you, Faraz.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. What an incredible collection of stories. What an incredible collection of experiences. You've all been so generous sharing, the many complicated decisions and personal trajectories that you've each had to navigate. We've just got a couple of closing slides and then we'll throw it open for the Q&A. now that we're all here, perfect. So yeah, so I'm actually just gonna take a quick moment to say, hold on. Yes, okay. So we'll do our quick note from Dr. Smith first. So just before I bring Dr. Smith on, I do want to say a huge thank you to her. Specifically, it was her connection and it was her effort in networking that led to us connecting with the CDC at MHHERC, and that led to this event being kicked off. I'm very grateful for the opportunity that she's given to all of us to be able to have a networking event like this. And yeah, so if you're there, Dr. Smith, you can give a quick sort of closing thank you, and then we'll throw it open to the Q&A.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. But I want to thank our speakers for joining us, especially the Dillard grad. I graduated in '98, and Mr. Myers, when you were talking about how the professors know your name, I remember I came to Dr. Prestige's, he was our biology professor. He was a Alpha. And I came to his class. I was excited because I had just pledged AKA and I had a big folder. I put it on my desk. And after class, he said, Michelle, let me see you after class. And so I walked up to him. He said, your grades are failing. I knew something was up with you. He said, you better put those AKA letters down and pick up a book. and so I did that. And so everyone's experience at Dillard is the same. This is a family. And I'm so happy to see that you all are flourishing at CDC. You know, when I was a student in biology, I didn't even know Dillard had a public health major. That's how kind of focused we are on our own major. So particularly the biology major students here, please listen to what the presenters are talking about, because you never know where life will take you. Because look at me, I also have an MPH, and had no idea Dillard offered that. So please listen to what the tidbits of information that we have for you. I will turn it over. Oh, before I do that, there is an evaluation link that we need all the students to click on right now. We're not going to let you get off this call until you complete this evaluation. So click on the link. You can find it in the chat and complete that. It should only take you about 2 minutes. I'm going to watch it, and we should have the same number of students that are in this call complete that. And if you haven't given us your name and email, please drop that in the chat. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Faraz.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Yes, please fill out the evaluations. It's very helpful for us at MHHERC to know how we're doing. So I actually, so for the Q&A, I think I might turn off the recording just so that everybody is, comfortable and we can share exactly what's on their mind. But yeah, so this is it for the recording. Thank you all.